They laughed at her uniform, sneered at her scars, and told her she didn't belong. "You joining the circus or what?" They mocked, loud enough for everyone to hear. But what no one realized was that the woman they ridiculed had already endured battles that would break most men. What happens when a decorated Navy SEAL vet is stripped of respect by the very people she swore to protect? What secret did the general know that silenced an entire room with just one order? And how did one act of cruelty ignite a chain of events that exposed the truth about loyalty, honor, and survival? Because in that moment, when the general armed her, the mocking ended and the real story began. If stories of courage, betrayal, and redemption speak to you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The hall was full of noise. Soldiers were gathered, some sitting, some standing, all talking loudly. The smell of sweat, coffee, and old uniforms filled the air. But over the voices, one sound cut sharp: laughter. Not the kind of laughter that warms a room. This was cruel, biting laughter aimed at one person. A woman stood near the back wearing her Navy SEAL uniform. She was a veteran, a fighter who had once risked everything for her country. But here, inside this hall, she was treated like she didn't belong. Eyes turned to her scars, marks running across her face and arms, memories of battles long past. To the others, those scars were not signs of bravery. They were punchlines. One young soldier leaned forward, smirking. "Hey!" he shouted, his voice carrying through the room. "You joining the circus or what?" The hall erupted. Loud, mocking laughter bounced off the walls. Some slapped their knees, others pointed, all of them feeding off each other's cruelty. She didn't answer. She didn't even flinch. She just stood there, her eyes steady, her back straight. Silence was her armor, and it was stronger than any insult. But at the far end of the hall, a door opened. Heavy boots stepped inside. A shadow filled the doorway. The general had arrived. Why did he stop and stay silent instead of ending the laughter right away? Her face stayed calm, but the light in the room revealed the truth of her past. Scars traced across her cheek, down her neck, and along her arms. To the soldiers who mocked her, those scars looked ugly, like proof she was broken. But in reality, every mark carried a story of courage. One scar came from a desert ambush, where she dragged a wounded teammate out of burning vehicles, while enemy fire cut through the night. Another scar was earned when she shielded a younger soldier with her own body, taking the blast that would have killed him. Her hands bore lines from climbing ropes and jagged walls when her body had already given out, but her mission had not. She had faced nights when the sky lit up with explosions, mornings where silence meant her friends would never wake again, and yet she had kept going, step by step, battle by battle. She didn't wear her scars with shame. She wore them as reminders of survival, but none of that was spoken here. None of the mocking voices knew her truth. To them, she was just a woman standing alone. To her, those scars were medals written on skin. At the edge of the hall, the general's eyes never moved from her. His jaw tightened. He knew. What secret did the general carry that could silence the entire room in a single moment? Her face stayed calm, but the light in the room revealed the truth of her past. Scars traced across her cheek, down her neck, and along her arms. To the soldiers who mocked her, those scars looked ugly, like proof she was broken. But in reality, every mark carried a story of courage. One scar came from a desert ambush, where she dragged a wounded teammate out of burning vehicles, while enemy fire cut through the night. Another scar was earned when she shielded a younger soldier with her own body, taking the blast that would have killed him. Her hands bore lines from climbing ropes and jagged walls when her body had already given out, but her mission had not. She had faced nights when the sky lit up with explosions, mornings where silence meant her friends would never wake again, and yet she had kept going, step by step, battle by battle. She didn't wear her scars with shame. She wore them as reminders of survival, but none of that was spoken here. None of the mocking voices knew her truth. To them, she was just a woman standing alone. To her, those scars were medals written on skin. At the edge of the hall, the general's eyes never moved from her. His jaw tightened. He knew. What secret did the general carry that could silence the entire room in a single moment? The mocking voices started to fade when the soldiers noticed him. The general. His tall frame filled the doorway, his uniform sharp, his face carved with years of command. One by one, the men straightened their backs, their laughter dying into nervous silence. But something felt strange. The general did not shout. He did not bark orders. He did not even tell them to stop. Instead, he folded his arms across his chest and leaned slightly against the wall. His eyes locked on her, the veteran who had just been mocked. The room grew heavy with tension. The soldiers shifted in their seats, unsure of what was happening. Why wasn't he speaking? Why wasn't he punishing them? The woman did not move either. She stood still, her shoulders straight, her chin high. The insults had not broken her, and the general's silence did not shake her. Her calmness was like steel, hard and unyielding. Whispers started to rise. "What's going on?" one soldier muttered. "Why isn't he saying anything?" Another swallowed hard, his earlier laughter stuck in his throat. The general's stare never wavered. He was not looking at them. He was studying her, watching her silence, measuring her strength in the face of humiliation. What did the general see in her that the others could not? Earlier that same morning, the general had been alone in his office. The blinds were closed, the desk clean except for one folder. Across the top in bold red letters was a single word, classified. The general slowly opened it. Inside were pages filled with reports, mission logs, and photographs. Every page told the story of the same woman now standing in the hall. She wasn't just another soldier. She was the reason many of her teammates had lived to come home. One report described a midnight rescue. Her team had been trapped behind enemy lines. Radios were broken. Ammunition was low, but she refused to give up. Carrying one man on her shoulders, dragging another by the arm, she led them through miles of hostile ground until help finally arrived. Without her, they would have died. Another report told of a battle where her quick thinking saved an entire convoy from ambush. She spotted danger before anyone else and acted fast, turning what could have been a massacre into survival. The general had closed the folder, his face hard but proud. He knew the truth about her. He knew she was more than the scars people laughed at. Now, back in the hall, he watched her stand strong in silence. Why has the general kept her heroism hidden until now? And why is he about to reveal it? The room was still. Every soldier's joke died in their throat as the general stepped forward. His boots echoed on the floor, slow and heavy. He looked straight at the woman they had mocked. Her scars caught the light, but her eyes stayed calm, steady. Then the general's voice cut through the silence. "You think she doesn't belong here? You think those scars make her weak?" The soldiers shifted nervously. No one dared answer. The general slammed the folder down on the table. Pages spread open, mission reports, photographs, medals. "Read these. Every line tells the truth about her. While you laughed, she carried men twice her size across burning fields. While you whispered, she stood against fire that would have broken you in seconds. She has saved more lives than all of you standing here put together." One young soldier tried to speak. "But, sir," the general cut him off with a glare. "Enough. Respect isn't given because of how you look. Respect is earned by what you've done, and she has earned it 100 times over." The woman's chest rose slowly. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. But then the general said something that shocked even her, something no one in the room expected. The soldiers stood frozen as the general's words echoed in the room. But then his hand moved to the weapons rack. Slowly he picked up a rifle. The kind of rifle only trusted warriors carried. The room held its breath. No one could believe what they were seeing. The general walked past the rows of soldiers and stopped in front of her. His voice was steady, sharp as steel. "From this moment forward, you are not just a veteran. You are armed. You will train them. You will lead them." Gasps filled the room. Soldiers exchanged looks of disbelief. Some frowned, others lowered their eyes in shame. The woman blinked, stunned. For years, she had carried respect in silence, never asking for it. Now the general was giving her not only respect, but power. The rifle rested in her hands, heavy, real, a symbol that her fight wasn't over. The general leaned close and said in a low voice, "Show them why you survived when others didn't." Every mocking face turned pale. The same woman they had laughed at now had the authority to command them. And then, as if fate itself was listening, an alarm tore through the base, dragging them into a test none of them were ready for. The air was heavy with silence, but it didn't last long. A loud siren exploded across the base, sharp, piercing, urgent. Red lights flashed against the walls. Soldiers jumped to their feet, scrambling for their gear. "Incoming threat!" a voice shouted over the loudspeaker. "All units prepare for deployment." The woman's grip tightened on the rifle. Just moments ago, she was the target of cruel laughter. Now, fate had handed her a chance to prove herself in front of everyone. The general's eyes locked on her. This is it. You lead. The soldiers hesitated. Some looked at her with doubt, others with fear. But the general's order was final. No one could disobey. She moved to the front of the group, her boots pounding against the floor. Her voice was steady, calm, commanding. Formation! Check weapons! Eyes sharp, this isn't a drill. For the first time, the room obeyed her. The same soldiers who mocked her scars now followed her lead, their faces tense with uncertainty. The siren wailed louder. The doors opened to the night sky where distant flashes lit the horizon. Something big was coming, but none of them knew the first danger. Waiting outside wasn't the enemy they expected. It was something far closer. The soldiers poured out of the barracks into the cold night air. The siren still screamed, but outside it was worse. Smoke rose from the far end of the base. A supply truck had been hit, flames licking the sky. Sparks showered the ground as fuel leaked, ready to explode. Stay back! One soldier yelled. But panic spread fast. Some froze, others shouted over each other. The woman stepped forward. Her voice cut through the chaos. Form a line. Secure the wounded. Move the uninjured away from the fire, now! Her words carried weight. Clear, sharp, commanding. For a moment, hesitation hung in the air. Then slowly, the soldiers began to move. They followed her orders. She spotted a young private trapped behind the burning truck. Coughing hard, his leg caught under debris. Without waiting, she dropped her rifle, sprinted through the smoke, and shoved the heavy metal aside with every ounce of her strength. The soldier gasped for air as she pulled him free, dragging him away just seconds before the truck burst into a roaring fireball. The explosion rocked the ground, throwing sparks high into the night sky. The soldiers stared, their doubt burning away with the flames. But as the smoke cleared, shadows moved beyond the fence, proving this fire wasn't an accident. The real enemy had arrived. The fire's glow lit the base, but now all eyes turned to the fence line. Dark figures moved in the shadows, armed intruders. The soldiers tensed, gripping their weapons. Fear crept into their eyes. But before panic could spread, she stepped forward. Hold steady, she said firmly. Her voice didn't shake. Wait for my signal. The general stood behind her, silent, letting her lead. The intruders climbed the fence, their boots hitting the ground. The woman raised her rifle. Her eyes narrowed, scars shining in the red light. Fire, she commanded. Gunfire cracked through the night. The soldiers followed her lead, every shot cleaner, sharper, braver. The mocking silence of hours ago was gone, replaced by unity. She moved with purpose, covering her squad, pulling a fallen soldier to safety, never hesitating. The very ones who doubted her now fought at her side. Their fear transformed into respect. Minutes later, the last intruder fell. The base was safe. Breathing hard, the woman lowered her weapon. Around her, soldiers stood in awe. No one laughed. No one sneered. The general's voice rang out deep and proud. Remember this night. She is not the one who doesn't belong. She is the one who saved you. The woman didn't smile. She didn't need to. Her scars spoke louder than words. Because in that moment, a new chapter began. Not just for her, but for every soldier who finally understood what true strength looks like.